What do you know about local politics? Do you know who your city council members are? What changes are coming to the city? Here at Hayward 18, we see the potential that young people have to affect the future. That future starts at home, here in Hayward. We meet each of the members of the City Council of Hayward and get a chance to see what they're all about, what projects they're working on, what their goals for the future are, and their past accomplishments. See the people who affect your day-to-day and learn how you can get involved here on Hayward 18.
Al, welcome. Thank you very much. Welcome to Hayward 18. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Excellent. I'm good. I'm excited to have you here. We have some good questions, quite a few of them. Do you mind if we just jump into the first one?
No, absolutely. Let's go for it.
The very first information that I have, you being a council member for how long? Correct me if I'm wrong. It's six years already?
Yep, 6 years, yes.
So you ran first in 2012 and you won your election. You became a council member at that time. And a few other people ran and became council members with you. Do you recall who ran on the same year?
So I think we had 8 or 9 candidates that year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the ones who won were Barbara Halliday, Greg Jones, myself, and Francisco Zermeño.
Okay, excellent, excellent. I know that one of the things that set you apart is that, well, first, if you have experience before becoming a council member, you were working for the city. How long have you been working for the city?
Well, so I was a volunteer for the city,
Right.
so I wasn't paid. I was a member of the Planning Commission before joining the City Council, and a member of another volunteer commission before that, and a citizen activist before that. One of the first things I did was help implement campaign finance reform for Hayward elections back in 2004, 2005, with a group of other community activists who wanted to try and get some of the big money out of local politics.
So, if I'm not mistaken, you've been working for the city since 2006. You've been a member of different committees.
Yes,
And one of the things that set you apart is that you've always been very proactive. You wanted, you didn't have to, and you weren't paid for. Nobody was asking, but you wanted to be engaged, and you wanted to be a part of the civil government of the city.
Very much so.
Where did you get that from?
Oh, it's funny. I blame my parents fully. You know, my mother, she was a social worker, and my father was a software engineer like me who worked in the defense industry, and both really grilled into myself and my brother the importance of giving back to your community. And there's all kinds of different ways you can do that, right? There's not just one way. It's not like you have to get into politics, but It's important to do something for other people and to serve in some way. Work at a nonprofit, get involved in local politics, you know, be part of the local government, or any number of options. So it wasn't an option by the time they were done raising me. That was just something I was going to do some way, somehow.
Okay, excellent. And also, I think that you've done a great job planning for the future of the city, and I think that, you know, this would include also the future of the population of Hayward. So I think that you need to be commended
Well, thank
for
you.
that.
I take pride in having sort of a long-term view, and not just trying to figure out what we need today, but what we need for tomorrow. And that can be, those aren't always the same thing, right? Sometimes
No, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, and so I do take pride in that. Yeah.
As a father of two, I thank you for that, and I
Yeah.
understand. I
Yeah.
understand it's not only about what I need at the moment, but you know, what the next generation is gonna need. And talking about,
Well,
go
you know,
ahead.
and being, if you forgive the interruption, you know, being a parent, I think, is a big part of the reason that I have that perspective. You know, when I first ran for council, I think there were no parents on city council at the time. There were 1 or 2 grandparents, which totally counts, you know, right? But there were nobody with young children.
Right.
And one of the reasons I ran was to try to make sure that there was somebody who could bring that perspective. And you're right, that with that does come a longer term view. It's like, what am I going to be leaving for my children's generation and their children's generation? And I think there's value in that. So definitely a big part of what drives me and motivates me to keep pushing hard and working hard.
Not only do you serve in the city of Hayward, but you bought your house here. You're a Hayward resident. You have a lot invested. Your children go to school in Hayward. So I think that that's a big testament of your commitment. And yes, you're planning. You're investing in your future. Your kids are Hayward products.
So my daughter is going to a school in Hayward. My son is still in a school in Sonoma, actually, public school, but he'll be in Hayward next year. So
Okay,
I'm
for
very
sure.
pleased about that, finally bringing him into Hayward schools. So,
Excellent,
yeah.
excellent. And tell us a little bit about your background. I know that you have a degree in science and engineering, so you are the kind of person, you go to UCLA, you graduate, you have your ideas and your vision, and you're a very practical person. You like to solve problems.
Yes,
You,
yes.
just
very much
earlier,
so.
you described yourself as an engineer, and that was the reason why you were here on time. So I thought I was, hey, we like that. So you like problem solving. You
very
look
much
at
so.
things and you think, well, how can we make this better? In government, how does a skill like that help you in dealing with people that are not necessarily wired that way?
Oh, that's an interesting question, because you're right. Not everyone is wired that way.
Correct.
But I think that what I try to bring is that mentality that says, all right, let me understand where you're coming from. What is it that you're looking to solve? What's the problem that you're looking for help with? And then sort of break it down and say, all right, how could we solve that? What are some options for solving that? What about this idea? No? Okay, what about that idea? What is it that you think we should try to do to solve a problem? And sort of look at it in an analytical way.
Correct.
And then hopefully out of a conversation like that, we get a couple of good ideas and say, all right, then here's some things that we think will help. Let's work on those together. And try to get some more information from staff on how practical they are, how that might look, how much it might cost, how quickly we might be able to do that. It is a very analytical, sort of step-by-step problem-solving approach. And most people, I think, appreciate that once it's clear that that's what I'm trying to do. And so sometimes I have to, it takes a little while for people to realize that about me. But once they
No
do,
doubt.
it works pretty well.
No doubt, and
Yeah.
it's a very logical way of looking at things, and not
I
so
take
much
that as
emotional.
a compliment.
Well,
I am an engineer, right?
it feels strange to be talking about practical matters with a politician.
It's an interesting combination. I'm the only technology worker on the council at the moment, and
Well,
and it is a different mindset, I think, from what many other people bring, and I think that's part of the value that I bring, is that it's
Yes,
a different
correct.
perspective.
It makes me think that in every council and in every group of leaders, we need an engineer.
Yeah. Oh, you wouldn't want 7 of me on the council.
Probably
but
not.
having, yeah, you wouldn't. But having 1 or 2, I think, helps provide some balance and a different perspective.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so.
Mhm.
Tell us a little bit about why do you want to make Hayward a youth-friendly place?
Oh, well, see, that's, I mean, I have kids, right? And
Correct.
so when my kids were, they were, 6 and 8 years old when I first ran. And as a parent, you're looking for things to do in Hayward, looking for places to take them bowling. We didn't have any. Looking for a movie theater. We had, 1. Looking for parks. We had some, but not enough. And it's sometimes a struggle as a parent to find things to do in Hayward. And as I talked to other parents and other people out in the community, I heard that same complaint. I've got my kids and I have to take them to other places to find things to do. And that to me is something that we should all be focused on trying to fix.
That's a shortcoming for sure.
Absolutely, and something that we all need to work on. And so I've really championed bringing more parks to Hayward. We have a bowling alley. Finally, we have a bowling alley coming to Southland in a few months. We do have the movie theater and a second one in town that's
right.
going to be opening up again, hopefully in time for the Christmas movie theater rush. The one sort of, I hope to be a sort of a crowning jewel for kids and families in Hayward is a 50-acre La Vista Park down in South Hayward off of Tennyson that I'm extremely proud of and worked very hard on. And it was actually an idea that I got from my kids.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we went down to Monterey, I believe, and they had a park down there, the Dennis the Menace Park. It's a great big park, and they had such a great time. And as we're driving home, they're like, "Dad, why don't we have something like this in Hayward?" And my answer was, "That's a good question.
Maybe
let
we
me,
should."
Yeah, let me get to work on that." And
Is this a Sohei project?
so it's adjacent to Sohei. So
Okay.
Sohei has a small park. It's a 2 or 3 acre park, medium-sized park.
Okay.
But no, there's a 50-acre park that we're working on up at the La Vista Quarry
Okay.
on the east side of Mission at Tennyson. And when it's done, it'll be the largest improved park in the city of Hayward.
Can't wait.
3 times the size of Kennedy.
That area definitely needs some naturalization because it's just sidewalk everywhere that you look.
Yeah.
So with so many families there, right?
Exactly
and,
right.
And if we don't want people hanging out on the street, maybe we should give them a place where they can do recreational activities.
Exactly right. Safe places for young people and families. That's definitely a focus of mine.
Excellent. I know that you're big in sustainable path or sustainability.
Absolutely.
I recently did some work with the Zero Waste campaign. Can you tell us, as one of the people that govern the city, in which direction or what position does Hayward have in this race towards being more, or I guess less pollutant, more conscious?
So I am extremely proud of Hayward's record on sustainability in the environment. We are one of the greenest cities in the country. And when I say that, people often are surprised.
People don't know that. I didn't know that.
They don't know, yeah. And we don't do a good enough job of bragging about it sometimes, but we have been winning award after award after award for the last several years for our environmental achievements. The United States EPA under Obama gave us the Green Leadership Award in 2014. We were the only city to receive that award. The California League of Cities has given us the Beacon Award and a dozen or so other environmental awards over the years for achievements in various areas. We've been a leader in creating the East Bay Community Energy, which is just coming online this year and will be providing greener and less expensive energy to folks in Hayward so that we have an option other than PG&E. One of the options, the Brilliant 100 option, is a 100% greenhouse gas-free energy source, which means that if you're ordering that, then you will not be contributing to climate change and global warming anymore, not with your electricity anyway.
Okay.
And we need to be doing more to give our residents options like that. And so
Excellent.
It's a long list that I could go on for a while because I'm pretty passionate about it, but
well,
it's something that we can all be proud of.
Okay. Excellent. Well, you always learn something,
We're working on
new. So tell me what we're doing to get jobs, to bring businesses that hire Hayward residents, that hire Hayward students, Cal State and Chabot students, and they put us to work so that we don't have to leave.
Yeah, no, that's a great one. And we have a very large industrial area, an innovation crescent in Hayward. So there are a lot of jobs in Hayward. And we've been really ramping up our economic development effort in recent years. We put together an economic development plan, a strategic plan a few years back, and that led to the hiring of an entire department that is focused on attracting new businesses. And they are especially focused on attracting businesses that really pay well.
Okay.
And not just pay well because they're hiring a bunch of people with PhDs, but pay well regardless of education level for individuals. So innovative companies, advanced manufacturing, high tech, clean tech, biotech, those companies pay more on average than other industries, whether you've got a doctorate, a bachelor's, a high school degree, or you haven't even finished high school yet. They pay more across all of those education levels. And so those are the kinds of businesses we've been working on attracting. And we're going out and recruiting them and bringing them here. And we've had some good successes. The number of biotech companies in Hayward is just exploding. It's exploding out by the bridge. If you drive around there, all the companies now are biotech.
I wonder if there would be something that we could do to encourage these companies to hire Hayward first.
Absolutely, and so that's a good question. So there's a good partnership going on right now, a couple of them actually, that are actually bringing students from Hayward, HUSD as well as Chabot and Cal State, out to the companies for tours to sort of introduce them. We have programs that link them with internships.
Okay.
And obviously, when those go well, they can lead to permanent jobs. And so we're trying to cross-pollinate and bring the businesses together so that they're looking at Hayward graduates to hire, and also bring the students out so that they're looking at Hayward companies to apply to when the time comes. And those are in the early years, but there's been some good successes so far.
Okay.
Yeah.
It makes sense for what you're saying, where we've making an effort of bringing businesses and more commercial activity, but it seems like we're also been keeping track on the housing units that are available for newcomers, because you're right, nobody wants a place, for example, where families don't come. That means that there are going to be fewer kids going to public school. So we really
That's
want
right.
people to
That's
start their professional careers here, and maybe even bring their families.
Absolutely, yeah. There's no maybe about it. That's exactly
That's
what
true.
we want. Yeah, we want people to feel like they can get started here and that they can stay here and they can grow here over time.
There's no danger of what I can see that Hayward will become one of those getting old kind of city.
I don't think so.
I don't see it anywhere.
I think, I think the Bay Area is a very vibrant place, and we've tried to embrace that in a way that's healthy. And so, yeah, we're trying to figure out how to embrace that change and change with the Bay Area, so that we don't end up becoming stale or an unattractive place
And
for
we have
businesses and people.
We have a nice balance. Everybody knows in Hayward we have a lot of senior citizens, but also we have a ton of young people. So.
Yeah, I think something like 50% of the population of Hayward is under 25 or under 30, and that we are the third most ethnically diverse city in the entire country.
Wow.
The third most diverse. And that is a wonderful asset and something that really drew my wife and I to Hayward when we were looking for a place to settle down. So, and I hear that a lot from newcomers as well. They're like, well, there's a little bit of everybody here, from all kinds of different ethnic groups, different socioeconomic backgrounds, and that's where we want to settle down.
That's true.
I totally get that.
And it's one of the few places that still has a little room to grow.
A little bit, yep.
So maybe we can turn that into affordable housing.
Yes, absolutely. Well, no, we've done some things recently to strengthen that.
I
which
know.
is good.
We're gonna talk a little bit more about that. Just giving you a hard time.
No, it's okay.
Tell me.
If we'd solved all the problems, there wouldn't be any point.
I
in
know
talking
it's
to
not
me,
your
right?
fault, but housing prices in the Bay Area are just probably not sustainable.
Yeah, they're out of control.
Tell me how you've made Hayward safer, because to me that's my favorite. I want you to have an award for this, but I want you to tell me what kind of things you've done to make Hayward safer.
Well, we've really taken, that's a good question, and we've tried to take, I especially have tried to bring sort of a data-driven approach to it. One sort of example, when I came on council, we had red light cameras, those things that take a picture when you're running.
I do,
Yes.
I'm familiar with the
Yes,
process.
sorry. So they were there when I came on council, and I asked at the time, so are they working? And the answer was, well, they're getting a lot of tickets.
They bring revenue.
You would think so.
Oh.
You would think so. And people tend to assume so, but the revenue all goes to the company in Arizona that puts up the cameras. Everywhere, it's a common misconception, and one that I had too. But then I asked, all right, forget about how many tickets. Is it making the intersection safer where it's at? Are we seeing fewer accidents? And so they dug into the numbers, and they found out, shockingly, no. They were actually making the intersections less safe, because while they cut down on some of those intersection accidents in the middle of the intersection, we were seeing a huge increase in the number of rear-end accidents as people slam on the brakes.
They realize there's a camera, and all of a sudden you just
slam on the brakes, and the person behind them hits them. Okay. So there were more accidents at those intersections, and it was costing Hayward motorists $9 million a year in tickets. So we said, get rid of them. Obviously, that's not working. We can find a way to, to put the community's money to better use. So that's the kind of, I give that as an example of sort of the data-driven approach to what works, rather than that sort of intuitive approach which says, well, red light cameras, they make things safer, right?
Right.
Well, dig into it, prove it to me. And if it doesn't, then let's do something different. So that's the approach I've tried to bring.
So that on the street, and it makes perfect sense. Now, how about in the privacy of your home, violent crime? Stabbings, shootings, how have we reduced crime in that aspect?
Those are actually very, 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 very low. The number of home invasions are fairly low in Hayward. Most of the crime is people stealing things out of cars, the vast majority. Or, somebody taking something off your lawn. You leave your bike out, your son leaves your bike out on the lawn, and it gets stolen. That's what most of the crime is in Hayward, is that sort of property crime. And our violent crime has come down significantly. A lot of that is due to a data-driven approach that the police department took to targeting some of the violent gangs in Hayward.
And some of the areas that were more problematic.
Yes, sir. And so when they saw a spike, they'd really target that area and target the gang members or the community where that was happening, and try to put the folks, take them out of the community one way or another, put them in jail, I mean. And that's really been a very successful strategy in terms of reducing the violent crime. The property crime is a harder one, and we're still, I think, I'll be honest, still trying to figure out how best to tackle that.
Okay.
So, like many communities in the area,
I understand.
mail theft and things like that, it's not an easy thing to eliminate completely.
Right. Now, I wonder if you can explain to me, it was rumored or reported a few years ago that some people that were running for a council member seat had more funds than others. Now that we're getting to that point in time again where we're going to elect, is it, three seats are open this time around,
Yep.
including the mayor.
Yep.
Do we have a council that is united, or there are big divisions, and are those divisions reflected with the amount of money that they've been able to fundraise?
Interesting question. So I would say we have a council that works very well together.
Okay.
All 7 of us work well together. We treat each other with respect. It sounds like an obvious thing. Sometimes you don't always see that in other cities, right?
Right.
So I'm pleased, and it's something that we can all be.
You're not
pleased
just
with.
saying that.
No.
Is that how you operate?
Yeah, for me, absolutely.
In a civil manner.
Yes, very much so. I mean, when I ran the first time, I was endorsed by all 7 members of council, including, 3 or 4 that I was running against.
Mm-hmm.
I think that speaks to the way I operate. It's mutual respect, and it's not an adversarial system. I think that we don't always agree on everything. Of course, I mean, you got 7 different people. We're going to have different views, and boy, I really hope so. It would be unfortunate if we all agreed on everything. That wouldn't be healthy. But the trick is to have those disagreements in a respectful manner and be able to sit down with your colleagues and talk it through and work it through and find ways to, okay, well, these are the things we agree on, so let's work on those and focus on them. As far as the level of funding and campaign donations goes, that's an interesting one. I mentioned earlier that my first effort in Hayward politics was to help pass campaign finance reform.
Right.
And I did that at the time in part because what we had back then were some developers, in particular wealthy interests, who were giving large donations to some candidates. And it was I think that's unhealthy. I'm a big fan of having to collect lots of small donations because it forces or encourages candidates to go out and meet more people and talk to the community, and reduces the temptation to feel like, oh, if I just give this one rich person what they want, then I'll have enough money. And so
in fact,
the campaign limits we put in place really help with that.
Wasn't it one of your initiatives, some efforts to try to keep big business out of government?
It's to not to keep them out, but to reduce their influence.
Okay.
I think that someone who owns a business has the right to try to influence local politics, just like someone who lives here. I don't think that's invalid. But you see, especially at the federal level, that big business tends to have way too much influence and control. And so the capping of those donations that we have here really has reduced that greatly. And I know when I ran, I felt like there was no one group, no one business, no one person that I had to, do what they said or else I wouldn't win. I felt like the system was set up in a way that, you can get small donations from a large, diverse group of people and still win. And that might not have been true before the reforms that I'm talking about were passed in 2005 or 2000.
Well, I think that for some of us who have followed Hayward politics and have read about it, I think that there was a perception of maybe lack of transparency, and that's something that worry us this time around. I know that certain steps have been taken. There's a new city manager, I think, Kelly McAdoo.
Yes.
Her
2 years she's been in place now, but still relatively new. Yep.
Oh, okay. So her approach is very open. She invites everybody to go talk to her, and I know that you're a supporter of that. And that's one of the things that we didn't see for many years, and we're starting to see. Social media has helped create this conduit, but we're personally, I'm glad to see that I have access to people. I know who my council members are. I can go talk to them. Also, in city government, it seems the city hall seems to be opening some doors.
That's something most people don't realize. Most people don't realize that if they send me an email or send my colleagues an email or pick up a phone,
will respond.
That will respond. Most of us will. I mean, some
I'd
more
say
than others.
some of you will, at some point or another.
But a lot of folks don't even try. They don't think that. They think if they send an email to 7 council members that they won't hear any kind of response.
We're trying to take your face, your statements, your answers to people's homes so that they realize, well, first who you are, how hard you work for us, for them, and second that they can contact you and that you will.
And I would say that directly, that if you have an issue that you want to talk to a council member about, reach out, send us an email, make a phone call. We're pretty accessible and we're pretty good, apparently most of us, at responding to those sorts of things. Some of us, all right, some of us.
I love that you constantly create these opportunities for Hayward residents to go out and clean their cities. It's good in a number of ways. It's good because it's your city. It teaches you to love it. It gives you the pride to just see that you live in a good, clean place. That feel that pride that others see, like, oh, that's an attractive city. And second, it creates this notion of go out and volunteer, do something, not just complain. How about
there you go.
How about you just go and pick up that piece of
complain.
garbage? Okay, so feel what it feels like.
Yes.
On the other hand, I would say, well, the city could do a better job cleaning the city, but I understand it's a big place, and I understand that you're probably doing your best. And then it's okay that the civic population do their part, but don't leave it all to us. I think it's your job to keep the city clean. So
I don't disagree with that. I
know these are not your public hours, but that's my comment.
No, it's okay. It's all right. I think you're right, and I think that we're not doing as much as we'd like to be able to. We're doing as much as we can with limited resources. And that's always the challenge.
Correct.
We hired some additional folks in the maintenance department a couple years ago when Measure C passed, and they're out and doing proactive litter and graffiti abatement. Would I like to have 20 people doing that instead of 5? Yes.
Do you have the funds?
No, not at the moment.
Well,
we're working towards it.
In a way, we elected you to do exactly that. We asked that you manage the city with limited resources, and I'm not going to ask you to do some magic, because then you will probably have to neglect hospitals. So I want you to do, the best you can in as many areas as possible. So Al, I want to thank you so much for being here. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
The pleasure's been mine. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Thank you very much, and good luck.
Thank you.